Hello to everyone and welcome on this YouTube channel. So this is tutorial number 13 of our training on C programming language. Good. So today we are going to study multiple if condition. Like I'm having a program, I'm supposed to test multiple conditions. So how are we going to do this? Now, for us to practice this, I want us to solve this small exercise. The code is inside my PDF document as usual. So here we are going to write a small program for a grading system. Meaning what happened here is the aim is to collect the mark of a student. Now based on that mark, we are going to determine if you are having A grade, if you are having B grade, if you are having C grade. So you are seeing that this type of program automatically you must think about multiple if condition, because you are seeing that for different conditions we have different outputs. So this is how you're supposed to think when you're writing a program. Always think about the equation, like what's the equation talking about, from what the equation is talking about. You think about what you're supposed to use. That's why in programming you need to master in fact all the different small concepts so that you'll be using them in exercises. Good. Now we go to our program. Now at the level of this program, this is the program of the previous video under the if else statement. Good. So I'm going to clean this part. So what happened here is the first thing, so the first thing here is I'm going to declare a variable mark. Okay, and a mark can be a decimal number, so I'm going to say float mark. I'm collecting a mark of a student. Now here I'm going to use a, because remember at this level it's just declaration, so reserving space in the memory, the space is empty. So now at the level of my printf, I'm going to write something like enter a mark, or enter the mark of a student. Okay, now you collect the mark. Now here at the level of the scanf, you'll be using what? %f. Good. So here you write mark. So at this level everything is working perfectly. You save, Ctrl S, and you execute. Very important. Remember that each time you are writing something, always test that functionality before you move. So here my message is clearly written. Good. Enter the mark of a student. The next thing is the terminal is waiting for the mark. Good. If I press something like maybe 34, you see the code ends here, because this is all what our program is doing. So this is a grading system. Let us start with our different conditions. So I'm going to say if the mark of a student. So you are seeing I'm starting with if the mark, because it's the mark that you have collected that you are comparing. If the mark of a student is greater than or equals to let me just say AG. Okay, so if this condition is true, the student should have A grade. So I'm going to display printf. I'm going to write A grade like this. Good. /n. Now after this, what happened is you go to the else. But the point is that at the level of the else, I want to test another condition. That's why after writing else, you give another space like this and you write again if. Good. So this is how the multiple if work. Because something that are very funny, you see someone will come here and the person will say else if without giving space. When you are doing else if without giving space, this is already a new word that you are forming, and this word is not existing in C programming language. You see. Good. That's why always think about what you are writing. What happened here is we are going to the else. Else simply means that this first condition is not true. Good. But what happened is at the level of the else, I want to test another condition. So in that case, you give space or you go to the next line. It depends on you. But generally, to make your code very beautiful, you just give space. Besides, you write if open. Now you test the condition again the second time. Your second condition, I want to test if mark is greater than or equals to let me just say 65. Good. If your mark is greater than or equals to 65, I want to display something like B grade. So let me just copy this to avoid wasting time. Okay, here I'm going to display B grade. Good. Now after that, you go to else. Now after else, you want to test another condition. You write again else, you put if. Now here you test. What do you want to test? I want to test if the mark of the student is greater than or equals to 50. Good. In this case, what happened is I want to display something like C grade. Now never forget something, that when you are using multiple if, make sure that the last statement that you are writing is the else condition. The else. The last thing should be the else. Meaning after your multiple else, if you must end with an else. Good. Because normally, multiple if simply mean that we are using multiple if else. So the last if must have its own else. Good. Because if you analyze very well, you'll be seeing that the first if here is having its else here. The second if is having its else here. So the third must also have its own else. That's why we are always ending with the else. Now else here is what you open your braces, you precise the code of the else. Now the level of the else, generally what happens at the level of the else is this will be executed if all these conditions are what? Are false. Good, because the code is sequential. Now if all these are false, it simply means what? Analyze the last condition. The last condition here is testing if mark is greater than or equals to 50. It simply means that for the compiler to execute what is inside the else, your mark should be what? Less than 50. Because if you are greater than or equals to 50, surely you stop somewhere here and you enter but inside C grade. So if you are already entering into the else, it simply means that your mark must be less than 50. And if the mark is less than 50, I want to display something like maybe F grade. F, good, saying that you have failed the exam. Good. So after doing something like that, we are done. Control S. Now you execute your program. Okay. Now let me start by entering something like 75. If you analyze very well, if I enter 75, think about the result. Mark will be 75. Is 75 greater than or equal to 80? No. It simply means that we are not going to enter in this A grade, in this printf A grade. Good. So we are going to go to the else if directly. The else if now what happened? You test is 75 greater than or equal to 65? Yes. It means that we are going to enter where? In the second printf, printing what? B grade. Good. And remember that when you are working with if statement, in fact, by the time one condition is correct, you are no more executing the order. So this is the principle. So let me press enter. So I'm expecting B grade. Perfect. You say that here you are having your B grade. Good. Okay. So let us test the code again. So if I execute now, yeah, let me just enter something like I don't know, 45. So that 45 is less than 50. So automatically I'm supposed to have what? F grade. Perfect. So you are seeing that the code is working very well. So this is exactly how we are using multiple if. So I've taken my time to explain everything in detail. Nice. So this is where we are ending for this program. Now, but before ending, I want us to optimize this code. Optimizing this code simply means if you analyze very well, you are seeing that we are repeating the same thing here. You see, I'm saying that print A grade, after here print F B grade, print F C grade. So I'm using the same thing, the same instruction. So I don't want to write this print F multiple times like this. So how can I optimize the code? It's very easy. So what happened is I'm going to declare a variable called grade. So grade here should store either A grade, either B, either C. And you have seen either A, B, or C. They are all characters. So the variable that I'm supposed to declare should be a character. I'm going to call it char grade, semicolon. Now what happened is this printf here, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove all the different printf, and I will use the printf but at the end of all my different conditions. So see what happened here. So for this first one, I'm going to say if your mark is greater than or equal to 80, the variable grade should take what? The variable grade should take A. Now remember that since grade is a character, that is why when you're writing A, put single quote. Single quote here is for character, double quote is for string. Good. Now so it's exactly what happened. So the second instruction, if your mark is greater than or equal to 65, good, grade should take what? The character B. Nice. Now here the same thing, if it's greater than or equal to 50, grade should take what? The character C. Okay. And else here, meaning less than 50, it should take the character what? The character C. Now another student will ask this question, so why is it that we are not writing another if here to test if mark is less than 50? Here you are not doing that because if you are writing another condition to test, like if mark is less than 50, the problem is that, okay, after testing that condition, what are you going to put for the else of that new if they are writing there? Because an if must always have an else. Good. So that's why you are seeing that we are ending here, so that the else of this condition here should be when the mark is less than 50. Good. So you think about things like that. So the else here is F grade. So grade is equal to what? F. Good. So now you are seeing that based on my different condition, I'm filling by the variable what? Grade. So you are seeing that the next thing I just should display the variable grade. And how to display it is very easy. So at this level, I'm going to display the actual grade, you see, and I add the word grade. Meaning if it's A grade, I want to say A grade. If it's B grade, I want to say B grade, and so on and so forth. So how to do this type of thing? Now you move at the beginning here. Now, since the grade is coming from the memory, when I'm saying from the memory, it simply means that the grade is stored in a variable called what? Grade. Good. So to display something coming from the memory or from a variable, you use what your format specifier. And since the variable here is of type char, the format specifier here is percentage C. Good. So you see here I'm saying percentage C grade. Now after that you go after the double quote, comma, you make reference to this format specifier, and the reference here is what is grade. Here you are not putting the address symbol because you are already in the memory and you want to display what is inside that memory. Good. So you see me now, if grade is having A at this level here, you have what? A. If grade is having B, what will appear here is what is B, and so on and so forth. Good. So you are seeing that this code is the same thing as the previous one, just have optimized in fact to avoid using printf multiple times. So Control S. If I execute this code, look at something. Let me just enter something like 75. 75 was what B grade, right? You see, I'm still having B grade. Nice. If I execute something again, if I execute it again, if I enter maybe, I don't know, 30 or 39, 39 must be F grade. I'm having my F grade. So everything is perfect. So if you have any question, just ask in the comment section and I will reply to your question. Thanks. So this is where we are ending the video. So in the next video, this is what we are going to cover together. In the next video, we are going to study what we call the switch statement. Good. So the switch statement is also used to manipulate condition. Good. So it's an example of selection or choice or decision control structure. So in the next video, we are going to work with this, which is very, very important in programming. Very, very important. So thanks and see you in the next video.